You were born in when? 1920?
21.
1921. Okay. You lived in the town of Zborov in the mountains.
Zborov is a village.
So you grew up in that village, and where did you live? Like in the springtime, you farmed the land, right, with your dad?
Well, yeah, it had to be done very often. The rocks had to be removed and put on piles, perhaps, and land cultivated around the rocks in patches. It was a poor kind of farming, but
yeah.
You might say healthy,
yeah.
in the mountains.
Yeah. Now,
a lot of hard work.
Yeah, where did you live at? You lived in the summertime. Did you go up to that little shack with your brother Frank?
Yes, all summer we took the cattle up into the mountains, had a shed for the cattle and for the people to sleep over during the night.
Did you ever hear wolves like howling and stuff? Was it kind of scary up there?
Once in a while, yeah, but there was a lot of owls we heard every night.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Owls, but not so much wolves.
Yeah.
I think they were not. But it was living in the wilderness just about all summer.
Yeah.
Our schools had half a day of school, and the other half a day the kids had to help the parents.
Did you go to school then? Did you go to school for half a day? And what did you learn in school? Just like, what was your lessons?
Well, we learned the basics, reading and writing. That's,
you learned reading and writing in Slovak though, right?
Yes, all in Slovak, yes.
Yeah.
Well, as long as the weather was reasonable, as there was not too much snow,
yeah,
cattle was up.
Yeah.
But when everything was too cold or covered with snow, then we had to bring the cattle down to the village and for the winter.
Oh, okay. And you had somewhere you kept them inside for the winter?
Yes.
Like a barn kind of, or?
Ordinary kind of shelter for the
shed or whatever.
But shelter, I mean properly closed doors,
yeah,
so that the cattle survived. They stayed warm, because there are pretty strong winters there.
Yeah, yeah.
In the mountains.
Now you said that that during the winters everybody kind of had more parties and they visited each other because there was nothing else to do really, right? So
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Men played cards,
Yeah.
Some other played chess games, or just were telling. Some people served in the army.
Okay.
So they were saying about their lives in the army.
From World War I, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So people have different experiences, and of course some of the older men had a sense of humor and tried to scare the kids.
yeah.
Scare the wits out of the kids, telling scary things.
yeah, like ghost stories.
It was kind of life.
Yeah.
In the village.
Yeah.
Yeah, winter time was a lot of idle time.
Yeah. And you said that, like, then in the spring, what would happen? Like, once the spring came, would you go back outside and go back up the mountain, or?
Yes, as soon as the people thought the cattle would survive in the mountains. A light frost didn't mean anything,
Yeah.
But when the real bad winter finished, then they took the cattle out into the hills, wherever people have a shed, proper summer shed for the shelter for the cattle.
Mm-hmm. And so you would spend most of your time in one of those summer sheds.
That's right.
Yeah. And Frank, would the girls come and bring you food? The girls would come and bring the boys the food up there, or?
Well, actually, we were shown how to cook, boil around.
Oh.
The main food was the potatoes,
Yeah.
which were brought down from the village first until they grew up in the fields, in the mountains, and that was our main meal was potatoes and
whatever you can
and
find.
milk,
Mhm.
either sour milk, buttermilk, or fresh milk. We had to milk the cows and make butter.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You milked the cows and made butter?
Yes.
So you weren't just sitting around up there. You were actually working pretty hard up there.
Yes, there was a lot of work to do. We had to cut or brought some dry leaves to bedding for the cattle a little bit so that they could sleep on it. And
Wow.
we had to milk the cattle, the cows.
How many cows did you have?
Just usually 2 or 3 milking cows, or sometimes only one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we sometimes had few goats, and they grazed together with the cattle.
And it was just you and Frank up there? Just you two of you, you and Frank? Was it only you and Frank up there in the mountains mostly?
Well, there were others in different areas,
Yeah.
but usually the summer shelters for the cattle were in different places so that the cattle would have grazing lands closer to the shelter, you know, not 20 miles away.
Yeah.
But maybe 5 miles away, circuit, something like that, where they would find enough grazing.
And you would say that sometimes you go to like the town next door and you take grain and the miller, they had a miller with the milling wheel that ground up the flour for you to make bread.
Yeah, they make flours. We had some flours that once in a while the women can bake bread, or at the time they just mixed a little flour with the, we had I don't know what you call it in English, like we could shred potatoes into
peels?
Not take the peel off and then shred the body of the potato into small things and mix it with flour.
Oh.
Mix it 50-50 with flour and bake a kind of flat bread, you know, kind of good to eat. What was good to eat with the milk and butter. You know, that was our main meal, you know.
Well, you get a lot of potatoes. The potatoes were...
A lot of potatoes. It was a basic meal.
Yeah.
All year round.
Yeah, you do potatoes. What about, you say sometimes the gypsies would show up with their kind of to fix tools and stuff, and you said you had to be careful because the gypsies would steal people's things, you know.
And when they came through the village, you know, we had to watch.
Yeah.
They stole a few things.
Yeah.
People didn't trust them 100%.
Yeah. But you said they'd play their instruments and stuff, and they were pretty...
Oh yeah, they usually, they were musicians and play in weddings and other celebrations. Yeah.
Okay.
But for some strange reasons, they didn't own any land. They were just nomads. They traveled from village to village.
Yep.
And made some living that way.
Mm-hmm. And like their caravans, they're like the carts and stuff.
Yeah.
You know? So you grew up in this land, and you know, your mom died when you were 11. Your father remarries, and you were around 11. When did you finally leave the village?
I guess I was maybe 18 when I finally decided to see the world and to do a job, to find a job somewhere else. Construction. There was a section. Construction of railroad going right through the mountains, actually. So there was a lot of physical work to pick and shovel. The men were dynamiting part of the mountain where the railroads were then laid down. And so it was pick and shovel work, level, load the dirt into metal wagons and carry it a little further from certain place to build slopes on which then the rails ran because they were in the higher elevations, and then they built bridges between the mountains. And
so you were working on that for a while. For how long? About
maybe 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this, do you know where that was at? What location?
That was in central Slovakia. The main village was called Harmanec.
How do you spell it?
It still exists now. Harmanec, it's H-A-R-M-A-N-E-C. Harmanec. It was a hard work, you know, for the kid.
Yeah.
Lifting heavy rocks.
Right.
Loading like a metal wagons, and then they were pushed certain distance, making like building a strong slope, cut into mountain, but then the cut was pulverized.
So you
explosions, they dynamited.
Pretty dangerous too. Kind of dangerous work.
Yes, we had to. They drill a hole, let's say 3 foot long hole into the rock. They filled it up with dynamite, sticks of dynamite, and everybody had to go away during the explosion. The explosions will throw the big rocks, maybe 100 feet away from. So we had to go a certain distance when they were
a little further than 100 feet
exploding, and then we had to remove that new blasted rock.
So then, is this where you met Julius Seifert? Is this where you met him and became friends with him?
Yes.
Okay.
I met him.
Working there.
Working there.
And so you two were buddies. So you said, let's get out of here.
We said, this is heck of a hard life.
It was. That is hard work
for kids 18 years old.
Yeah.
And so let's see the world, let's go out. But we went the wrong way. If we went somewhere west to England, it would be different. But we thought, let's go to Russia. They at that time made a lot of propaganda about communism, building communism. It was something good,
Was it the Bolshevik Revolution? Was that happening right then?
Yeah. Well, people didn't realize what actually was happening. So they thought there was a better life under communism, but it was terrible. It was a lie. It was an intentional lie spread. And so we went, Julius and me, two naive kids,
Yeah.
And went to Russia and suffered. And poor guy perished, he died.
Yeah.
Cyril,
Yeah.
my friend. I was a little tougher, I guess, from the village, used to hard life, so I survived.
What was his nickname, Cyril?
No, his first name was Cyril.
Cifra?
Cifra.
Yeah.
Cifra was his second name.
Oh. Oh yeah. So Cyril Cifra. It wasn't Julius Cifra?
No, it was, you are right, there was Julius. Julius, it was his name.
Yeah,
Cifra was his second name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Julius.
So who was Cyril? He was another guy? Or that isn't even a name? That's okay.
No, I mixed up the
Yeah, that's
two.
fine. That's fine.
Cyril and...
Yeah. Who was Cyril? Do you know? Was that a different
he
guy?
was either, I think it was Julius.
Yeah, it was Julius, yeah.
Or Cyril, one of those.
One of those two. Yeah. Last name was Cifra, you're sure. Okay, so...
Second name was Cifra.
Yeah,
that
Cifra.
I know for sure.
So then you guys tried to get through Poland, and you were taken prisoner by some Russians.
Yeah, we entered voluntarily, kind of stupid, into the Russian hands. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But we had to go through part of Poland.
Mm-hmm.
And
like some Russian guards came up and asked you for papers or something, right? And
they interrogated us and right away imprisoned us.
it had to be so surprising. Like, you didn't expect that. Nobody expected that. Like, everyone expected this happy, good society, and then just immediately you're taken prisoner. I mean, it's so shocking, you know.
It was shock. It was shock. It was something hard to believe, but that's what was happening.
Yeah.
And they needed slaves. Communism needed slaves. That's how communism worked. They kind of enslaved the whole population.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was lucky to survive almost 3 years in the terrible situation.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. You ended up being recruited while you were there in Arhangel, and you were in this camp. They came and they said, who wants to join the Russian army, right? More or less. Or they were making an army up of...
Exactly. When the war formed up, or was expected between them and Germany, and already probably they knew that it would be, so they announced, who is here, from Czechoslovakia citizen. And there was a bunch of us, Slovaks and some Czechs.
Right.
So we said, come up with us, and right away they say, would you volunteer to the Czechoslovakian army? I said, certainly, we would rather get out of here, you know.
Right, you're going to die there, you know.
And so we volunteered right away, and they immediately we felt better, and they gave us certain papers written in Russian for our show on the train to the whoever was running the train, that we are entering Czechoslovakian army somewhere in Kuibyshev area, way south and little east, southeast from Archangelsk, and we got there, enjoyed the army, start training, army way, and learning how to use weapons, machine gun in my case. Did you had to help to the transportation of whatever was needed, taken with us, lots of ammunition, and other things. We had like the canvas bags, you know, we put in and put over our shoulders, carry on.
I bet that ammunition was pretty heavy
Yes,
though. It was
heavy
pretty.
stuff, heavy
Yeah.
stuff, you bet. The whole machine gun was heavy. We had to pull it on the wheels. It was the old-fashioned on wheels, not the later, lighter ones. It was a heavy thing.
Yeah.
Water cooled.
What was it? Water cooled?
Yeah,
It had the water cylinder around it that you could.
yeah, water cylinder around.
Did you have to change that water ever?
No, once we full, there was an opening on top. We fill it up.
Right.
It stayed.
Yeah.
Stayed, but it got. I guess it got hot after shooting the.
And you said that in your rations you'd get little bottles of vodka. Is that right? Like in your rations they had the food and they had little bottles of vodka. They
once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Very seldom. Very seldom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever wanted it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you.
But the soldiers, the Russian soldiers, they got a little more vodka when they were already in the front lines.
Oh.
Yeah, but.
Yeah. But you say you wore the British uniforms and the big dish British helmets. So you didn't. You didn't have the Russian uniform at all.
We had the British helmets, which is like a small dish. It's very shallow. It's kind of stupid looking thing.
Yeah.
Sitting on top of your head, it doesn't cover much of your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now the Czechoslovakian army had the protective steel, which covered the much of the head and the neck.
Yeah.
In the back was made more sense, but the British helmet is just a funny looking thing. Maybe they changed it now.
They did now, I'm sure.
But it was just for show off.
Yeah. And then the uniform, you say it was one piece, and if you bent forward, the uniform would pull up on your.
Yeah, it was buttoned to the belt with buttons. Ridiculous, you know.
So the buttons would pop off.
Pop out, yeah.
Yeah. So you struggled with this uniform, and then you drove the train to close to Sokolovo. So anyway, you're going to Sokolovo, and then you had to march the last.
We had to march last maybe 10 miles or so, because some of the railroad in areas was destroyed. And we had to march to reach our assigned village to defend the Sokolovo village. Dig out. Few days was quiet, nothing. We had to dig out the trenches and the trenches into the machine gun holes where we held the machine guns and the ammunition. It was all camouflaged under on the bottom of the
like a barn.
Barn, yeah, barn.
Yep.
Just the village barn.
And there was some other. Was there a clock tower in the village or a church tower? Because
there was a church somewhere further in the not in our area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was another guy who talked about the battle, and he went up in a tower and kind of looked around.
Yes.
Yeah.
They made observation from the tower for the local area. There was always some soldiers on duty who just were guarding, observing the.
So they gave you an alarm when they finally, or you said you could hear the tanks coming though. It's pretty obvious.
We could see them. We could hear the engines. We could see.
And you came from the north. You came down from the north because you learned that the Germans would come from the south.
From the south, yeah.
And
we were, how would you say, strengthening the village of Sokolovo and the surrounding area, our unit was supposed to guard that village of Sokolovo. So where we dug out our trenches, which didn't help much because they attacked. Germans had in that area more tanks, and we had none.
Yeah.
Defenses. We had two cannons.
Did you put any landmines down at all? Like landmines?
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. We didn't have any landmines.
But you put two cannons. You had two cannons, like anti-tank.
Our unit had two cannons, but I didn't see in our neighborhood any. I don't know where the cannons were.
But they weren't by you.
They were not by mine.
The cannons were pulled by a mule, you said? The cannons were bigger guns, the mules would pull them or something, you said?
They were bigger guns, but not real big.
Okay.
Not real big.
What did they shoot? Like a cannonball, or what did they?
They shoot some kind of cannonballs.
Yeah.
Like something like this, but small.
Yeah.
Let's say 2 inches.
Right.
Diameter and maybe this long.
Right. So it was like a missile, kind of like a little missile.
Like missiles, yeah.
Yeah.
It was not a big thing.
Yeah. But you don't know where they were. They weren't anywhere by you.
Yeah. There was none by me. Actually, I was lucky, perhaps, because I was supposed to guard the left wing.
Which wing would that have been?
I was on the left wing of our unit, designed our machine gun.
Yeah, but would that be towards the west or the east? Would that be the west side or the east side? The left side?
There would be the east side.
Okay.
East side, yeah.
So you were to guard the left side of the left flank.
Left flank would be the best word for it. And I was perhaps fortunate because by the time the rest of our unit was destroyed, they were coming to our side. It was everything quieted down, and
so they had already destroyed most of your unit. When they got to you, it was kind of almost over already, right?
It was almost over. That's several of our units, practically the whole unit, survived except the one fellow who tried to escape.
Yeah.
He was my friend. He was a Slovak. His name was Jan Čuška.
Yeah.
And he tried to escape. That was kind of stupid, you know.
Right.
Full daylight and the gun.
Yeah.
And the tanks, there were at least half a dozen tanks right close to us. How could you escape? They have each had machine gun, and then they had the bigger gun also. But they had also a machine gun, special machine gun. To shoot in a longer distance. And that guy was cut down to pieces just about. They only ran about 20 feet or 30, maybe 30, 40 feet. And they cut him down with one of those from a tank machine gun.
And then the rest of your men just came. You said that they put the phosphorus tank at the end of your trench, and so the flames just came right through your trench.
They came
and they almost burned
right
you.
Through the trench into the nest where we were hiding, quiet. And then, of course, our clothes started burning, and we started suffocating. So we right away had to escape. Hands up, and guns left there, and if they killed many people.
When they came out, they would
earlier who gave themselves up.
They just go ahead and shoot them anyway.
They shoot them anyway, but because it was quieted down a little bit, they left us alive. They were wondering what the hell was this? British uniforms in Russia. It was very unusual because they were just the first time these Czechoslovakian units unit in green uniforms. The
Yeah,
Russians
yeah.
had grays,
Oh.
and we had green colored uniforms.
So
they
those
knew
crazy
right away.
uniforms might have saved your life because
Yeah.
they were odd. They didn't know what.
They were wondering. The Germans were wondering themselves what's going on. They,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, they didn't
Yeah.
know first. Well, later, they pretty fast found out, I
Right.
guess. But
So you mean, were you attached to a Russian? Were you also? Was there a Russian unit with you?
there were Russians everywhere, but not with us.
Okay,
We were totally
independent.
independent.
So how many of you were in the whole unit? Maybe a few hundred? Maybe.
How many was that? Well, it could be 1,000 in that area. It could be 1,000, but I don't know. Maybe later more came. So
Right.
More and more.
Right.
They were still training.
Yeah. So there was about 1,000 of you. Do you remember the numbers of your unit? Like what the number of your unit was?
I don't know the exact number.
No. They took you prisoner and they transported you through pickup trucks, she said,
Yes.
under guard to Prague.
Under Prague, it took maybe 10 days or even 2 weeks till we reached Prague with some. And the Germans were partially retreating. They started retreating.
Oh, really?
There was too much overwhelming forces against them. I guess.
So really,
American was helping the Russians, as you know, with weapons.
So what you're saying is that area of the Ukraine, the Germans were, even though they won that battle, they were really kind of steadily being pushed back in that area because there
Yes, that's right.
too many troops coming in. Yeah.
Even they had easy time to defeating us.
Yeah.
They were still in trouble generally in
Yeah.
Ukraine, and apparently they couldn't take any more territory. They just were waiting what will happen.